Hi, my name's Eric. Welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year. Let's talk again about FKA Twigs. She just released her brand new mixtape, Caprisongs, and I'm here to give it my first reaction and to break down the mixtape's lyrics. As many of you know, Twigs is one of my all-time favorite artists, and I am so excited to listen to this mixtape, even though it appears that it's going to be pretty different from her prior work. Before I dive in, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite song on Caprisongs is. Check the description box for links to lists of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, track number 1 is Ride the Dragon.
Hey, I made you a mixtape because when I feel you, I feel me. I'm still a mysterious being.
Ooh, okay. I love the atmosphere of this song.
You got me feeling summertime away. You wanna get a bit of my mystique?
That's the word for it.
Gets lonely in the studio week. Kiss me, baby.
Wow, so many details.
Ride the dragon. So if you really want to kiss me, do it quickly before the end of this song. Waiting a minute for your love.
Wow. Oh, that was so impressive. Pretty different from a lot of her past work, with the exception of maybe Holy Terrain, but that was really interesting. It definitely feels more like something in the alternative R&B genre, whereas a lot of her prior work felt sort of like its own thing, but it still has that Twigs stamp on it, her original perspective, and all of those really interesting electronic production details, some moments of silence and different textures that come in at sort of unexpected moments. I'm just so impressed by how well that mediated the sort of catchiness of R&B with the weirdness and originality of so much of Twigs' work. And something that I talk about quite a lot on this channel is how opening and closing tracks of albums, or in this case mixtapes, can help us transition between the real world and the world of the album and back. And one way that an opener can do that is by talking about music and making music. So here Twigs is in the studio preparing this mixtape for us, sort of giving us a framing device that actually corresponds to the real world and sets up these interconnected themes of self-confidence, love, and artistry, sort of the themes that we expect from her music. And how the title of this song is working is that Twigs is comparing interacting with her romantically or artistically to riding a dragon. So there's an element of heroism and fantasy to being with her and being exposed to her and seeing how she expresses herself. So those are some of the ideas I think we're going to be working with on this mixtape, and with all of that in mind, track number 2 is Honda featuring Pasta Lou.
So, yeah, one morning, I don't know, Monday or something, summertime, you know? Are you listening? Anyways, I'm one of a kind. Well, people like me, one of a kind. When life gives us lemons, we just take in the essence. OTSS, only the strongest survive. Honda, baby.
Baby, we can roll it.
Oh my god.
And we smoke it. Honda, roll it.
Yes.
One of a kind.
Exactly.
They don't understand like we do. Conquer. You never have to worry cause they under you. I wonder why you so Felicia. Feel it when you move your body. Control your body. The back, baby. Got an eye for money.
Step is tuning, baby. Louis V matching. Hold it down, baby. We can travel around the globe. B. Come and fly with me.
From sunlight to moonshine, you'll always be mine. They don't understand like we do. Wonder boy, interplay in my vicinity. We are the synergy, yeah. Roll it, on it, and we smoke it, yeah. On it, roll it, yeah. Honda, Honda, what's that? Ooh, baby, Honda.
What? I am obsessed with that beat. This song was just enchanting and sultry and smoky and again so atmospheric, very different again from Twigs's prior work, and her delivery is also different here. She raps, she's a little bit throatier in her delivery, whereas typically she prefers to engage more of her head voice and have a lighter delivery. I am so impressed because what this song does both lyrically and sonically is that it takes these R&B and hip-hop conventions and then lays over Twigs's original perspective, again both thematically and sonically. With the sound we've got this sort of repetition and that beat that I think also incorporates Afrobeats, and then on the lyrical side we have these sort of R&B tropes of kissing and smoking in cars and luxury brands, but it still very much feels like it lives in the world of FKA Twigs. The lines that stand out to me are, "One of a kind from sunlight to moonshine, you'll always be mine. They don't understand like we do." And this idea that Twigs and her lover live in a world of their own creation to me sort of corresponds with the prior track's mention of a dragon, the sort of idea of fantasy or being transported. And I think that speaks to what Twigs feels she can do through her art and through her love. It's almost like a Twigs-specific extension of the flex trope, where it's not just that she's impressive or a good lover or rich and famous, it's that she's ethereal and can take you to somewhere you've never been before. And then the line about sunlight to moonshine is a pun because moonshine, aside from referring to the, light of the moon, is also an alcoholic drink that people illegally brew on their own. So there's the sense of a self-created secret world of indulgence and intoxication that mostly just contributes to this mystique that Twigs is building around her character on this mixtape. Track number 3 is Meta Angel.
Saggy moon, Pisces Veen, Caprisongs. Each year I'm like, oh, I'm gonna own my shit. And each year I'm still so shy and so quiet. No, but this is the year. This is the year. I wish I had a form a deeper force. Some kind of meta angel. I've got voices in my head.
Wow.
Telling me that I will take it far. Throw it in the fire. Ego in the fire. I got love for the sun. It gets higher and higher.
Yes, oh my gosh.
I get confused with what I really want. I've got voices in my head. Where'd you go? Throw it in the fire. Ego in the fire.
She was sort of teasing a drop there. Wow. Okay. I think that's really clever. The song sort of ended offbeat. There were ways that the song sort of held back. Like I mentioned, I was expecting a drop that didn't come. So I think that speaks to the theme of the song, which is about not really being secure in where you're going and not feeling closure. And I know this is a mixtape, so the songs might not be necessarily sequenced in a way that's thematically consistent, but assuming that this perspective does actually pick up where the last song left off, then Honda was aspirational. On the one hand, Twigs has this enigmatic persona that lends itself to a sense of mystery and adventure. And on the other hand, we learned at the beginning of this song that that sort of sense of secrecy comes from a place of shyness and insecurity. So when Twigs imagines herself reaching into this other world of mystery and fantasy, it also represents a desire in her to access something that she doesn't know or that she can't really grasp. And that's what the Meta Angel is, this sort of divine knowledge that she really wants and doesn't quite have yet. Maybe it's the thing that'll bring her confidence in her art or guidance in her relationships. And that might also explain the astrology motif of this mixtape, because astrology is, sort of by definition, a way of explaining things that are unknown to us. Track number 4 is Tears in the Club featuring The Weeknd. I've only heard bits and pieces of this song, but I have listened to The Weeknd's new album, Dawn FM, and it's really good.
Tears in the club, Tears in the club. Tears in the club. I wanna take my clothes off, wanna touch my hips, my thighs, my hair, not yours, all mine, yeah. I don't wanna believe that I belong to you. I love myself in ways that you could never do. I want you more, I want you more. Tears in the club, tears in the club. Let me down, let me down. Tears in the club. I'll never leave you now. So come on, give you chills, get you crying in the club, babe. So many tears, cause you try to fight the love, babe. There's no escaping me. Let it out like therapy. There's no
Okay, yeah. Specifically, the chorus is on the more accessible end of Twigs' discography, but there are still definitely those elements that make it a little bit odd, a little bit off-kilter, and more original. And one of those elements is the way that Twigs talks about the body. Because now we have some more insight into why Twigs might have been experiencing doubt, and that is she's going through a breakup. And there's a connection here to Honda with the way that she talks about having control over her own body. On the first verse, Twigs talks about different parts of her body, which I think might speak to the way that she feels her partner broke her down and took power from her in that way, or it can be a sort of systematic reclaiming of all of the parts of herself to build herself back up. Because often in art, breaking a person's body down into its parts can be objectifying, but I think Twigs is very consciously trying to work against that. And The Weeknd's perspective on this song, I think, was very intentionally kind of insidious. His verse on the song, which fits really nicely, I think, with Twigs, is all about wanting to control her and get her to relinquish power to him. So by the end of the song, Twigs is sort of in limbo, wanting both autonomy and love. And towards the end of the song, Twigs describes her lover as a satellite. So I think their roles have switched. He is now this otherworldly, distant object, this sort of ethereal figure that she can't reach. Or it could mean that he is orbiting her the way a satellite does. So still, this power dynamic is pretty blurry. Track number 5 is Oh My Love.
I went out with this boy once, yeah, and I met all his family, went to some, family barbecue. Oh, no, you're not my girl. You know.
I thought they were barbecue official.
Oh, my love. It's been a long, long road to get here. If you won't let me go, then you gotta try to hold me close. I could be with anyone. I'm fussing like a pussycat. I hate it when you give me half. Never give me half. Everybody knows that I want your love. Why are you playing, baby boy? What's up? You wanna waste the day. I wanna spend the night. When I rhythm be run away, I wanna make it right. You're just pushing me. Everybody knows that I want your love. Why are you playing, baby boy? What's up?
Nah, but seriously, on a level, you're beautiful. We've not got a long time here, so love yourself. Just wanna steal your youth. Bye! Bye! These are your golden years, so have fun.
Okay, I think what's interesting about how this mixtape is sequenced so far is that the first few tracks were actually less accessible, whereas you would expect an album to sort of introduce you or ease you in with songs that are a little bit easier to get into and then sort of introduce the weirder stuff later. But I think so many of Twigs' listeners, myself included, are used to her being more avant-garde and left of center that we sort of needed to be introduced with the weirder stuff to get more into the conventional tracks. That said, it's still not totally conventional, it's definitely more accessible, but there are a lot of those interesting production details throughout, a lot of sort of unexpected starts and stops in the beat, and sort of ways that it accentuates what Twigs is saying. So I'll definitely have to go back and listen to this with headphones. And so yeah, the song is kind of straightforward, but it got me thinking about whether Twigs is inspired by her own astrology. She said a couple tracks ago that she has her sun in Capricorn, Venus in Pisces, and Moon in Sagittarius, and there's actually a conflict between those latter two. The idea is someone with Venus in Pisces will generally be more giving in romantic and platonic relationships, whereas someone with their Moon in Sag is going to be more withholding and even avoid romantic relationships. So I kind of want to doubt that this is intentional, but when she's sort of pining over this guy and wishing that her love would be reciprocated, she's very much projecting that Pisces Venus, whereas when she kind of puffs out her chest and says she doesn't need anyone, she's embodying that Sagittarius moon. But if you're more into astrology, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Okay, I'm going to combine the next two tracks because one of them is sort of a shorter interlude. Track number 6 is Pamplemousse, like the LaCroix flavor, and track number 7 is Caprisongs Interlude featuring Solo. Yes. Oh, okay. What? Wow.
Song with Dua Lipa, Why Don't You Love Me Anymore? When you gonna release it? I'm tired of listening to it on Twig, come on. Make my wish come true.
That is so funny. Okay, wow. So much to discuss. First of all, Pamplemousse, absolutely incredible, far too short. What an awesome experiment. I think it was sort of drum and bass influenced, and then that mention of the Dua Lipa collab that has yet to be released. Just so hilarious, so tongue-in-cheek. I love her. And then on that interlude, it totally sounded like she said Capri Sun, like she's been saying throughout the mixtape, and not Capri Songs. So I do sort of wonder, like some people have been discussing online, whether she was trying to get Capri Sun to be cleared as the title of this mixtape, but couldn't get it past the drink brand of the same name. But what's kind of funny to me about Pamplemousse is how that clip at the end about that Dua Lipa collab is actually in conversation with the general theme of the song, which is about her being desired. So we have these two separate, in a way, desires for her, both romantically and artistically. And on the first verse, there was a line where she said, "Make me feel like you see me," and I think that's a big underlying theme for this mixtape. A lot of these songs are about the desire to be appreciated, loved, and ultimately seen. She doesn't want to be an enigma anymore. She doesn't want to be this mysterious, ethereal, otherworldly creature. She wants to be brought into the world of grounded, normal people and sort of be outgoing and seen for who she is. So maybe this project as a whole and its sort of experiment with more accessible sounds is about us getting closer and her allowing us to truly see her. Track number 8 is Lightbeamers. Interesting rhythm here.
Did you give yourself away again? Don't do it again. This is for the hard dream ones. Been sad for a while. Are you running from your life? Beat down cause there ain't nobody on your side. Stays of your life is out. Lay down your fears, baby, ain't nobody got from it now.
Wow, okay.
Make a list of the truth, but then the things that make you, when you smelt your tongue come through. You're so beautiful, you are the perfect view. Put it in your phone, read it when you're
That's
down
sweet.
and out. Pretty inside. Put it in your phone, read it when you're down and out. Do it again. Do it again. Pretty inside.
Wow, okay. This takes a lot of twists and turns. Wow, that was really odd. I feel like that song's going to be kind of polarizing simply because it does so many strange things that I thought were really bold choices. I really enjoyed a lot of the instrumentation and a lot of the production. There were sort of moments where it felt like a sort of swell of orchestra strings and, you know, very romantic and idealistic. And then those sort of moments where Twigs would very aggressively change her delivery in unexpected ways, and then the production would follow suit and continue to warp her voice further. And again, it's sort of a simple song thematically, a song sort of dedicated to the dreamers who have yet to reach that dream, but the sound is just so off kilter. The impression that I get from this song is that it's what Twigs would have wanted to hear when she was younger and needed someone to sort of lift her up. The first half of the song set up the problem lyrically, sort of that these dreamers don't have enough support and they sell themselves short. And then the second half of the song proposes solutions. Things like really considering your identity and confronting your emotions. Again, pretty consistent with the prior songs and just generally good advice. And where I think it could have been saccharine, I think the song takes a very different approach and delivers something that's still very unsettled. She hasn't gotten yet to the end of this journey of self-discovery. All right, I've been so excited for this collaboration. Track number 9 is Papi Bones featuring Shy Girl.
Let me tell you something, yeah. Yeah, that can wine.
All the people, you know it's movie star Johnny, UK dancer general, and we are gonna run the dance floor. FKA Twigs, Shy Girl, play the song, sing the song, yeah.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, so we're going dance hall.
True say, but never realized that the Caprisongs energy. Where's the grind up on in your area? Sticky sweet, I'm on the beat like a killer. A killer, a killer. Don't stop, don't stop. Heavy, Papi, don't stop. Don't stop, don't stop. Let's start it again.
Strong grip, gripping on my body.
You can hold
Yes.
Never stop, I am in a body.
it, control it.
Papi got in it, check it, specify.
There we go.
Can reach your body fine. Caprisongs energy.
My girl never lacks, summer for the season. Spicy hot body, ready for the evening.
Don't feel like I could be with a girl and she can't dance.
Let's start it again. My champagne bubble dance.
Wow, that was so much fun. I really like that Shy Girl had 2 separate opportunities to shine. I think she and Twigs worked excellently together. This is a classic sounding dancehall track that I would imagine sort of is supposed to be in conversation with Twigs' earlier song, Papi Pacify, though obviously the two sound extremely different. I think one device that really sums up this song is the way that grind is used as a pun, both grinding as in dancing and grind as in work. And to me, immediately this relates to Twigs being a Capricorn because Capricorns are known for their work ethic. But of course, the connection between those two things, the dancing and the working, tells us that Twigs works hard and plays hard. Again, it's this ongoing connection between her artistic identity and her sort of personal identity. So if we connect back to Papi Pacify, then this song flips the script on that one, with Twigs and Shy Girl both asserting their dominance in these different facets of their life. Track 10 is Which Way featuring Dystopia.
This is like the perfect music to think. Yeah. Made me realize I have no thoughts though.
Ooh, yes.
When I was walking through the London city lights, I met the devil if you know what I mean, said you go the wrong way.
That's so cool, that cascading sound.
1, 2, 3, hey! I had a good job and I left. I had a good job and I left. I left because I thought it was right. Left, right, left, right. Like, I'm the rock star, not my boyfriend. I'm not the rock star's girlfriend. I'm the rock star girlfriend.
Exactly.
Do you get what I mean?
Yep. 100%. Yes. I like that the song brings back that sort of drum and bass influence from Pamplemousse. I really liked how kinetic this song was. I think it sort of took those weirder elements from a song like Lightbeamers and made them a little bit more accessible. As the title suggests, this is another song about Twigs just not knowing what to do or whether she's on the right path and sort of just being insecure about herself and her identity. So this affects all the different aspects of her life, which throughout this mixtape so far have been interconnected. She doubts her relationships and her job choices. There's this interwoven scene where she meets the devil and he says you're going the wrong way, and I'm thinking, is the devil's wrong way the right way? Like, is he trying to mislead her or is he right? But then also we have the devil voiced by these layered voices, like a chorus of voices, as if it's sort of the people around Twigs being the devil and telling her that she's going the wrong way. It's all of these opposites and tensions that she's still navigating, maybe like the conflicting aspects of her birth chart. I think we do get a little bit more confidence about her decisions when at the end of the song she says that she isn't a rock star's girlfriend, she is the rock star girlfriend, and I think that projects some more confidence about her career and personal decisions. She not only feels like a rock star in her career, but also like the rock star in her relationship. She is being uplifted in all of these aspects of her life. Track 11 is Jealousy featuring Rema.
I just wanna go outside and feel the sun is shining on my better side. I've always had my way, but I forgive my sins, yeah, baby, that's okay. Jealousy put on me, that's why your mind's up, right?
Girl, take it easy, take it slow. You follow me everywhere that I go. What you gonna do, only God knows.
Jealousy put on me, you're in your feelings way too deep. Jealousy put on me, that's why your mind's up. Waves of motion, moving in my life. Jealousy put on me, you're in your feelings way too deep. Jealousy put on me, that's why your mind's up.
Okay, yeah. I think of all of the songs on this mixtape so far, that one was the simplest and most accessible, but I still really enjoyed it. I really like the melody. I think Twigs and Rema worked well together and their voices complemented each other, and I heard Twigs really engaging that upper register that is so beautiful. It sounded like it had that Caribbean influence possibly, like Papi Bones, sort of more dance hall or reggae, but if you know more specifically what genre of Caribbean or African music that might be drawing from, please kindly let me know. And right away, there's an interesting connection here to the mention of the devil on the last song when Twigs says, "I've not always had my way, but I forgive my sins." When she mentioned the devil on the last song, I think it most closely related to the idea of betraying herself that she set up on Lightbeamers. So her conception of sin isn't one against other people or even against God, but against herself. And that's kind of how jealousy works. It has no real practical effect other than making you feel bitter and resentful. But here, someone else, I think a partner, has burdened Twigs with jealousy, and instead of focusing on that, she redirects her attention to actually pursuing what she wants. Again, not a super complicated idea, but we actually are getting this pretty gradual character growth over the course of the mixtape, despite the typical mixtape format not really lending itself to a linear story. There might also be a correlation between this sort of moment of clarity and the simplicity and straightforwardness of the song. It's easier to grasp this song the same way that Twigs finds it easier to see clearly what exactly she wants. Track 12 is Careless featuring Daniel Caesar.
My heart dissolves.
Wow.
Away to the rhythm of you.
That's beautiful.
Away, I'm addicted to you. I'll read the signs. You got to make your mind up somehow. Take me now. You can be careless.
This actually reminds me a lot of LP1.
Fumble here, fumble there. Infatuated, I don't care. Long as I can lay down next to you, run my fingers through your hair.
It's the pain that gets me there.
I follow my feelings, leader. Be my guide, yeah, be my teacher. I know where you're going, I don't need it. That could be a problem.
Wow. Wow, I was not expecting an R&B slow jam with elements of smooth soul. It's somehow both nostalgic and so futuristic and forward-thinking, but it really reminded me of, at moments, LP1, specifically Pendulum and Closer. And this song actually rounds out this trifecta of religious figures. Before we had the meta angel, then we had the devil, and they both represented different things, one being sort of this access to divine knowledge, and the other being misidentifying what you want and going in the wrong direction. And now we have God, specifically in the form of Twigs. You know, they're in the bedroom and Daniel says, "I follow you, my fearless leader. Be my God, be my teacher." In a way that might be counterintuitive if you have sort of more puritanical religious ideas, this is basically implying that the holy, godly thing to do is to pursue desire. That's the right thing to do for yourself and for the ones close to you. And something else that might be counterintuitive is the way that Twigs uses the word careless. She doesn't use it to mean reckless or disrespectful, but unburdened and free. You don't have to worry, you just have to follow me and God towards your wishes. So Twigs returns to and sort of reframes that position of ethereal power that she held at the beginning of the mixtape. Alright, track 13 is Minds of Men, and track 14 is Track Girl Interlude.
Great minds of men will fall down without nature's peace or a woman's profound. I somehow wave with my body, bend my seat down, troubles.
That is beautiful.
Let's make amends. When he's inside, a man's a boy, he's all alone. You love and death is
Interesting to weave mortality into the song.
yours tonight. Let's make amends. With minds of men. Now it's a woman's world.
It's so nice acapella. What's the melody you do? So I get on the train, Freud into Victoria, take on Jen's Schindler coat, and I go and chill with him for like an hour.
What did he do?
He was an athlete. I was his track girl.
Yeah. I haven't been heartbroken since I was about 17 either. I'm proper heartbroken at the moment. Yeah. Nothing's ever easy.
You seem like a crazy girlfriend though.
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That track, Minds of Men, was so beautiful and so ethereal in a way that I think very self-consciously loops back to the beginning of the mixtape. So on Careless, there was this idea that intimacy is godly and that Twigs gains power from it, and here she expands on that by crediting the divine feminine with giving her that power. Sort of in step with the idea of Mother Nature, Twigs aligns the natural world with femininity, and she says that in intimate situations, men revert to being boys. So Twigs says because of this, women need to take on a nurturing role so that men can be vulnerable and fulfill this divine connection. Of course, different people will frame this different ways, especially around gender norms, but I think what Twigs is doing here is she's taking the ways that she has felt disempowered and finding power in them. So not only is she saying that, you know, she might have felt disempowered as a woman, but now she feels powerful as a woman. I think also the sound of the song tips us off to the fact that she now is also finding power in her ethereal nature. Earlier, she said that her mystique was a product of her insecurity, that the fact that she seemed otherworldly was actually a negative, but now she's realizing that this connection that she feels to the, I guess, spiritual world that sort of made her feel separate from the normal world is actually, again, another source of her power. And then Track Girl just adds some more context and more concrete examples of this, like the way that a breakup can make someone feel like they are reverting to being a child again and sort of disempower them in that way. Or again, Twigs not wanting to feel second to a standout celebrity type boyfriend. Alright, track 15 is Darjeeling featuring Georgia Smith and Unknown T, and track 16 is Christi Interlude.
You're not alone. I'll wait till the end of time. Open your mind. OT, a track superstar, Crystal Palace, rap, link for Christie Stadium. Every Tuesday, flagging a boy. I was on his side, east or south, we're dreaming it all.
Ran towards the last thought I could find.
Yeah.
Something bigger than the town that I had left behind. Never start my dreams, and but home is where my heart is. Feel so alone in a city so big. Cause I used to know the person that lived at 23. Getting off the 601 just to spend my baby.
And I was just getting to know myself. The city it brought me in. Inside.
Interesting.
Open your mind. Surely it's plain to see. OT, a track superstar, Crystal Palace, rap, link for
Listen, had to clean up my heart, mind, body and soul. The London city's my home. She love Mayfair, come babe, leak on your toes. Do bricks to the sticks, come we remake those. Sure. Should I choose that Gucci or LV coat? Yo, I'm back in a hood on glow. The bandos beaming, my patient comes from rotating phone.
Just so you know, feel so alone when the city gets cold. I've known that I'd make it since I was a young girl. Surely it's time to be with me.
Wow. So beautiful.
Hey there, sweetie.
Hi.
I was just taking a look at your chart, and oh my goodness. And how delightful. You were born on a new moon. That gives you such an optimistic energy. Star seeds come through the galactic center to evolve humanity.
Sajimi, Haisivin, Caprisongs.
I like that as a watermark. That's really interesting. Wow, a lot to talk about here. First off, on Darjeeling, George's voice has such a beautiful tone, and Unknown T was also super impressive. They all worked beautifully together. The song was accessible, it had a really great beat, and it was also ethereal in line with prior songs like Minds of Men. And I absolutely love the line where Twig says, "The city broke me in." There are so many layers here. First, to break something in can mean to make it fit better, usually clothing, but obviously, that's something that a person does to an object, so this puts the power in the city and takes it from Twigs. Then this could also suggest in the same vein that the city broke Twigs, that it hurt her. And of course, broke can also mean not to have any money, just like Twigs brought up on Video Girl, where she was talking about the risks of pursuing this type of career. Oh, and now that I mentioned Video Girl, I just realized there might be a connection between that song and Track Girl, because the interlude ends with Twigs talking about not wanting to be second to this guy who was an athlete, and on Video Girl, she's talking about being a backup dancer and not really known as her own artist. So there's a connection there with Twigs wanting to be at the center, not at the periphery or in the background. This song also circles back to Honda by bringing in all of these images of cars and luxury brands and things like that. Except now this time there's a little bit more suspicion of those things, and the song ultimately decides that the thing we need isn't those objects, but connection to each other. And then I think Christi Interlude with these astrological ideas explains why Twigs might be taking on this ethereal character throughout the mixtape. Christi brings up the idea of a starseed, which is sort of like an angel or a spiritual being brought from another planet or universe to come and inspire humans to move forward. So Twigs' sense of being other or being otherworldly is actually, again, a source of her power that she then can explain through astrology. In a broader sense, it's this reassurance, despite how Twigs might be feeling, that she does have power. She just has to seek it out and embrace it and use it. Which leads us to the final track, track 17, Thank You Song.
I wanted to die, I'm just being honest. No longer afraid to say it out loud. Love in motion seems to save me. Love in motion, my eyes open. Thank you, I'm okay. I once had a dream, the shadows took over. Tears would fall like rain. You turned on the lights as you put me close. All I know is that no one loves me like you. Love in motion, love in motion. My eyes open, 'cause you care. I need you to do it. Love in motion, my eyes open.
Wow, and that is how the mixtape ends. I love the callback to Lights On from LP1. That song was about lacking trust in her partner, and now here she has found it, so the lights are on. That and the mentions of shadows and open eyes tie together a lot of the motifs from this mixtape of light and dark and day and night. Before, she would feel most comfortable going out and seeking thrills at night, maybe when she couldn't fully be seen, and now she feels emboldened to let her light beam shine. She has allowed herself to shine, and because of that, she's found someone who truly sees her. So I think that's the lesson and the motivation behind this more intimate and often more grounded and accessible mixtape. If you open yourself up artistically, romantically, or emotionally, you will be seen. Overall, I think Caprisongs actually flows nicely from the general themes of both LP1 and Magdalene. She's taking more steps in her journey of self-discovery and finding confidence in both her art and love. I think in the spirit of a mixtape, Twigs experimented with different songs here that were consistently, I think, very successful, from the dancehall influences to the drum and bass influences, as well as some of the more ethereal, atmospheric sounds that called back to her earlier work. I think I'm going to really struggle to pick favorites, but a few that stand out are Ride the Dragon, Honda, Meta Angel, Pamplemousse, let's see what else, Papi Bones, as well as Careless and Minds of Men. And the closer Thank You song was also beautiful and uplifting. Even though Twigs leaned more into the sort of alternative R&B label that she mostly rejected earlier in her career, I think this is still extremely distinctive. Even the more accessible songs have the FKA twigs stamp on them, and I really enjoyed this mixtape so much, and I can't wait to listen to it again, especially with headphones, to get all of those production details. But I would love to hear what you think of Caprisongs, so let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, check the description for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos. I have plenty of new videos, including some highly anticipated ones coming soon in 2022, so stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.